chưa chị?
Chưa. Thôi, đừng có cố. Đắt đi.
It was one of those situations that makes a city girl like me terrified. We were in the middle of the river in Cần Giờ mangrove forest when our small little boat broke down. It was pitch black, there was no sight of any other humans, and the only thing that kept me sane was the forest protector Nguyễn Thị Loan, who was completely undeterred by the situation.
Ô mẹ ơi, sợ quá.
Đừng nóng, đừng nóng.
Chị ơi, sao chị ngồi trên mép thuyền chị không sợ ngã à?
I was the only one screaming. I was scared for my life. I know how to swim, but in the middle of the forest, the boat was rocking wildly. And Loan, she was just sitting on the edge of the boat. I just yelled out, "Aren't you afraid of falling?" And she went,
Không sao, ngã thì lỗi thôi.
"So what? If I fall, I can swim." Loan and her husband are one of the 32 forest-keeping households in Cần Giờ mangrove forest. It is the largest district of Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam's economic powerhouse. The city's well-being relies on the forest, which is locally dubbed as its green lungs. It is also Vietnam's first world biosphere reserve. Loan followed the footsteps of her parents, who were the first generations of forest protectors to rebuild and maintain the Cần Giờ forest. During the Vietnam War, about 4 million liters of toxic chemicals were dropped on the forest by the US military, according to the Ho Chi Minh City Department of Agriculture. It wiped out traces of life that local residents held dearly. So about 6,000 people, including Loan's parents, were mobilized by the government to reverse the destruction. After they helped to rebuild the forest, they stayed on and looked after it, bringing their children with them, like people like Loan. It was a labor of decades that has allowed visitors like me today to breathe in the vitality that Cần Giờ mangrove forest has.
Theo em về nơi quê hương miền Cần Giờ quê biển thân thương, nơi có người dân lao động đêm ngày cho đoàn tàu dựng ra khơi bùa lưới.
I'm your host, Sen Nguyễn. This is the podcast Descendants of Ha Trung, brought to you by the United Nations Development Program UNDP in Vietnam, where you get first-hand accounts of the climate and environmental action of Vietnamese women and their companions from a variety of ethnicities, regions, and expertise across the country. Today, the forest protectors like Loan are taking us on a journey into Cần Giờ mangrove forest. It covers 34,000 hectares, or about 16% of the total area of Ho Chi Minh City. There is this genuine connection with nature that characterizes her work. But protecting and living in the forest is no walk in the park, especially when being cut off from the mainland means much less prospects of livelihood opportunities and social mobility.
Mỗi lần đi vậy mát không chị?
Hả?
Mỗi lần đi ghe vậy mát không?
Giết đừng quen.
Quen à?
Sống với gió mái giết quen rồi.
Multiple rivers cut through Cần Giờ, or one might say the forest is blessed with the embrace of many rivers. The forest-keeping households live far away from the district center, and the way to them is not part of the usual path a tourist would take. We have to cross 3 rivers on motorboat just to get to them.
Thì giờ á mình đi ghe thì mình chứ nhiều khi á chiều chờ thì
Thấy trong xanh gió mát.
rồi á nhiều khi á.
Once I got to the forest keepers, I got on a boat patrol with Loan, her husband Loi, and other forest-keeping families. And I got a close-up look. Years of burning sun and blustery wind have etched onto the faces of these people. Their watchful eyes examine the condition of the trees carefully, looking for any signs of them having fallen down, damaged, discolored, sunken, or even illegally cut down. They also clear up river trash that gets entangled in the mangrove roots. Then they report to the forest keeping subdivision they belong to and work on any spotted issues together.
Đây là những người dân giữ rừng. Những người dân giữ rừng. Và người dân phải ký kết.
These are the local residents responsible for conserving the forest. They sign a contract with the forest owner, the Forest Management Board, to assist in maintaining this forest area for the state and receive a salary.
That's Huỳnh Đức Hoàn, the head of the management board of Cần Giờ Mangrove Biosphere Reserve. He said that a forest-keeping household like Loan's receives 1,156,000 dong for each hectare of forest they keep a year, equivalent to around $49.
Và cái mức này thì đối với Việt Nam,
This salary is currently regarded as the ideal salary by many people in the other regions of Vietnam. The payments don't come from charge fees for the forest ecosystem services or anything else. This is simply a direct payment for preserving forests. Current regulations dictate that mangrove forest protection households are paid 300,000 to 400,000 Vietnam dong per hectare. Ho Chi Minh City has a special mechanism specifically for forest protectors to protect Cần Giờ mangroves, so the pay is higher here.
Salary is a concern for Loan, which she discussed openly at a recent forest keeper meeting.
I have an opinion, and it is about a problem that will take time to resolve. Forest protection households in general are experiencing a lot of hardship these days. We've been waiting for a pay raise for so long. So I proposed to the management board that we get a raise to cover our living expenses. My parents gave that part of the forest they were looking after to me to continue the work. I also have to take care of my parents, not just my own family. So now I'm hoping that the management board will raise our salaries so we can have more comfortable lives.
After the meeting, when Loan and I sat by the river to have a moment together, she also said,
Cuộc sống á, các cái gì nó cũng phải là tiền hết. Nên bây giờ á,
Everything in life requires money. We're paid like 1,150,000 dong per hectare, but we only get paid once every 3 months. In fact, households like ours have to save a lot to be able to spend moderately, and if there's a crisis or if we get sick, we'd have to borrow money with interest rates, and so then we can't simply afford all of our expenses on our salary. Now people want a pay raise so that their lives can be better.
Loan have 3 children, a daughter and 3 boys. All of them, like her, have not finished high school.
One of my sons was in 8th grade. He had to drop out because of our financial circumstances. The Forest Management Board advocates for children of forest protectors to attend school, but I have 3 children, a low salary, and I still have to support my parents. Like, how can I pay for my children's education if I can't earn enough money? So when he was in 8th grade, I made him drop out. My other son was in 9th grade and my daughter was in 8th grade before they had to drop out too. It's been impossible to make sure they have proper education.
Do you think this is a disadvantage for forest protectors like yourself?
Yeah, I've thought about it, but I'm used to this now. I don't want to go back to the mainland. Whenever I go back there, I feel tired and suffocated, so I don't. It would be excellent, however, if the management board understands our situation and could help raise our pay to cover some more living expenses. And if it takes too long, I guess I'll have to try to scrape by. My children, however, would probably not choose to live in the forest when they are grown up because of our living conditions. But if they want to stay, they'll stay. If they don't want to, that's fine by me. I mean, I won't make them. I won't force them to choose.
I noticed that you mentioned your parents a lot, and it seems like you truly love them and appreciate them. Was there ever a time when you just told your mother, Mom, I don't like this job anymore. I want a new one? Have you ever told her that?
No, my mom has seen me struggle many times, and she always told me, well, if you want to keep the forest for the job, keep it. If not, you can just give it back. I'm not asking you to look after me until I'm old. That's what she said. I listened, but honestly, I will look after my mom for as long as she lives. When she passes away, I will return the forest to the board if I want to.
On some days when Loan is not on patrol, her husband Loi accompanies one of their sons on many boat patrols in the forest. Loi comes from a fishing family. After marrying Loan, he followed her footsteps to become another member of Cần Giờ forest keeper generation.
Sáng hoặc là sáng nước cạn á, thì phải chờ nước lớn, mình đi vô tới cái ngọn đó.
I am the family's rock, but my wife is the one who signs the contract with the Forest Management Board. And I support her, because this forest belongs to her family. My father-in-law worked as a forest keeper. He wanted his two sons to take over the part of the forest he was looking after, but they refused. So he passed it on to my wife, his daughter. Typically, when girls get married, they have no right to their parents' properties. My mother-in-law said to her sons, "Now we've given it to you and you didn't want it. We're giving it to your sister. If something happens in the future, you have no right to object."
Loan and Loi goes through lots of ups and downs together on a daily basis, living and raising kids together in the mangroves, where the most basic essentials like running water and electricity are usually in shortage. Unexpected events like when the boat's engine was clogged with oil and broke down in the middle of the forest in the middle of the night really shows how they have to work together to survive in nature.
Nặng quá sao đưa nổi.
Thế thì chị cầm đi, em cầm điện thoại cho. Chị cầm đi, em cầm điện thoại cho.
It was a very stressful situation. Loi tried to restart the machines many times when Loan was impatiently telling him not to overwork it. The machine broke down and we were covered in smoke. The oil and the water got mixed together in the pitch black, and they didn't even have the tools they needed to fix it. Loi consistently tried for a long time until a nearby forest protector got their call and quickly came to our rescue. The neighbor cracked a joke and we were so happy, especially me because I had the lowest survival skill there. Forest life doesn't intimidate Loan, be it late night boat patrols or wading in neck-high water to catch crabs, snails and fish as an extra income for her family.
Người nam, hậu dân nam làm được thì phụ nữ làm được. Có thể là
If men can do it, so can women. Perhaps because women's health is inferior, we're not as strong as men, but we can still wade through the forest and drive boats. Women can do anything in the forest. It makes no difference whether a person in the forest is a man or a woman. Women in this forest can do anything, just not as well as men.
Why do you think we women don't do it as well?
We are weaker than men because we give birth, so we cannot perform as well as they do. Women can be just as effective as men during daytime because we aren't tired then. When we go to the forest at night, the water level gets high. We feel exhausted faster than men, while men are more strenuous and can work more efficiently. But during the day, we outperform the men.
It's not a surprise that women frequently shoulder the burden of childbearing, parenting, and providing unpaid care for children and the elderly, which women are not financially compensated for. According to a 2021 UNDP Vietnam Gender Mainstreaming Report, these jobs have a substantially positive impact on society, but are not accounted for in the GDP, and therefore may be disregarded in health-related plans for Vietnam's climate change adaptation. While Loan thinks that childbirth makes her weaker than men, when I went on patrol with her and other forest protectors to collect trash, the women and men did the same amount of work. The women were actually quicker and better at navigating the labyrinth of mangroves, literally hunching themselves down to get to the rubbish from the roots. Plastic waste alone, an endemic, equals 15,000 tons a year in Cần Giờ forest. Cleaning up trash generated from tourism activities right in the forest, as well as those that flow from other locations into the forest, like plastic bottles, beer cans, slippers, is a big part of the work of people like Loan and Tuấn, the head of Forest Protection Subdivision 1.
To be honest, we know about the issues of drug users in this range. Forest keepers in the patrol cannot avoid needles in the trash they find, which they get mixed up with other things like bottles, hats, sandals.
When I was with Loan and others on patrol, I noticed that while they were wearing gloves, they lacked protective footwear, like boots, that would have protected their feet if they were to accidentally step on high-risk trash like a needle. The fact that trash washes up the mangrove forest every day is a prime example of shortcomings in the waste collection and management system. The breakdown of rubbish, especially plastic, can have a devastating impact on the mangroves, the fish and shrimp that locals rely on for food, not to mention the water quality. But mangrove protectors like Loan help keep the forest from the stain of overpopulation and urbanization. According to NASA, Asia is home to nearly half of the world's mangroves. Research has shown that mangroves can sequester carbon at a rate 3 to 4 times higher than other forests. Not to mention their roots provide a fertile environment for shrimp and fish, which the local forest protectors and other locals rely on as one source of income. Mangroves have strong roots that grow vertically into the ground, and they filter pollutants such as phosphate, which are found in many fertilizers, and improve the quality of water before it escapes into the sea. Those who live in Ho Chi Minh City have Cần Giờ forest to be thankful for it provides a buffer and shelters the city from storms. But there's no forest without its protectors. Even when mangrove coverage goes down, not only do we lose vital carbon storage, but also see the effects of climate change exacerbated. And it is people like Loan who feel these effects most acutely.
Hiện bây giờ là biến đổi khí hậu là thật sự là nhiều luôn. Em biết không?
The climate is changing rapidly these days, you know? For example, usually the river would go up and down on certain days, like a habit. Now, the water level doesn't drop. It stays high for a long time. The water was supposed to come down today, but it has not.
Forest protectors tailor their patrols with the river tides, meaning unpredictable ups and downs can seriously affect their work or even put them in danger.
What's the most difficult thing in the forest? Well, if a tree gets blown over by the wind, it can fall on us. That's what's tough about this. Or if I lean against a tree and it accidentally falls over, I get super scared when that happens. So if it rains or when there is a storm, the division would reschedule our patrols. The Forest Management Board wouldn't allow us to patrol in those conditions either.
I know you've been in a forest for a long time, and your job is a forest as much as it is your life. Have you ever thought about how important your work is to people living out there?
Mình là một cái người mà để giữ lá phổi xanh mà.
Of course, I am the one who preserves the green lungs, so I have to mean something to people. When I go to the city, I tell people that I'm a forest keeper, and they're like so delighted. They'd be like, hey, this person looks after the protection forest. Yeah, they said so. That sort of thing. I think I do have an important role in society.
You've just listened to the first episodes of our Cần Giờ Mangrove series, brought to you by the UNDP Vietnam. In the next installment of the series, we follow a single mother who is indispensable in the forest biodiversity intensification, given that one type of mangroves cover 2/3 of its entire area. My name is Sen Nguyen. This is a podcast Descendants of Trung. Don't miss out on this next one. See you there!